Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.
This game was just a massive disappointment. Like, this game just pretty much effectively derailed whatever hopes the Lions had left in their playoff chances. Like, even though everything played out for the Lions, you know, it's of an outside shot, but this is really a demoralizing win. It was going to be very hard to end the year winning 6 in a row, but still a very tough way to lose this way. Just getting completely smoked. Before we talk about what happened with the Lions game, of course, against Carolina, we need to talk about the other Detroit teams we have had this week. Yeah. So starting off, we had the Red Wings. Of course, the Wings only played 2 games this week. You know, they had the overtime loss to Washington, which was a heartbreaker because the Wings had that game in their bag and then just failed to finish against the Capitals. I mean, the one positive from that game is that at least Ovechkin passing Gordie Howe on the all-time goal scoring list didn't happen to the Red Wings. At least we delayed what was inevitable that would happen later this week. Which I'll say congrats to Ovechkin on passing Gordie Howe and jumping to number 2 on the all-time goal scoring list in the NHL. Like, you know, he used to be one of the best players of a generation in Ovechkin. Now the question is, can Ovechkin catch Wayne Gretzky on that goal-scoring list? I mean, it would be fucking nuts if Ovechkin passed Wayne Gretzky, because we all thought a lot of Gretzky's records could never be broken, and that nobody ties or passes Gretzky in anything. But it's very possible that could happen. But the Wings did end their Christmas break on a positive note when they lit the lamp up. And I mean literally lit the lamp up. Yes, this sweater still lights up, by the way. When they beat the crap out of Tampa Bay 7-4, lighting the lamp 7 times. You know, just a great way to head into Christmas break. Now for the Wayne's Christmas break, it was originally going to be starting after Friday against Ottawa. But due to a snowstorm that happened up north, that game got postponed until February, to the end of February. So the Wayne's last game ended up being against Tampa Bay, so the Wayne's getting an early extended Christmas break. So yeah, just, you know, really good way to end the Christmas break, and hopefully the Waynes can take that 5 days rest and get ready to play against Pittsburgh. But yeah, who would have thought? We hired Tampa Bay assistant, and now all of a sudden, we made Tampa Bay into our bitch again. Who could have thought of that? But yeah, still very positive momentum. Hopefully next week the Waynes can enter into the 2023 with some positive momentum, as we're now getting close to the midway point of the season. And the Waynes still got 5 points of a playoff spot, but there's still a lot of hope to go. Meanwhile, with the Pistons had a very rough week. Just, you know, the tank job is still continuing to go strong. You know, with losses to Utah and then to Philly, where they looked like they were never really in it against Philly. They just got completely smoked by Philadelphia. And the Utah game looked like they were with them early, and then just fell apart in the second half. And then Atlanta, they were right with them most of the game, and then the second half, they just fell apart. It's like the Pistons just can't finish a game. You just can't seem to finish the deal. Like, this team truly does struggle without Cade Cunningham. But even then, someone's got to step up to the plate and take a step up here. Like, so far, the only positives have been Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey having a really solid rookie season so far. That's been the only positives. But if anything's going to happen in the Pistons after this season, it will not involve Troy Weaver, as Troy Weaver has already signed an extension. So Weaver is going to stay around for a few more years. Which honestly, Weaver's extension is very well deserved because he took a Pistons team when he first came in that had no fucking future. And now he gave him some shred of a future. I mean, this Pistons team is very talented and can go places. The Pistons now just need the right head coach to get over the hump, as I'm not pretty sold on Dwayne Casey. I don't know, maybe a fresh new head coach in to add stability to the team and get the locker room to rally together. And I think this Pistons team can definitely go places. And now for the Lions, well, I'll just say for the Lions game, if there was any example of a trap game, this 100% was definitely a trap game. I mean, just for some odd reason, the Lions just cannot seem to perform down at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Just the Lions always struggle down in Carolina. Like, there's a reason why the Lions have not been able to win down in Charlotte since 1999. And it just reared its ugly head again. Like, this, I'm not sure what was with this team, but this defense did not even show up today. It's like this team stayed at fucking Detroit. Like, the defense didn't even show up. Giving up nearly 600 yards of Panthers offense to a Panthers offense led by Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. They nearly gave up 600 yards to that offense. Like, even though the Lions have made a lot of progress, the progress has been great. Defense is still the main issue. I feel like this defense is gonna be the one thing that prevents the Lions from making the playoffs this year. Like, the Lions literally had everything play out to them today. Like, let me just say this, Jared Goff, he was far from the problem today. Like, the reason the Lions lost this game was 100% on defense. Especially when they gave up an assload of rushing yards. It's like, just Carolina just bullied the Lions all game. You know, just did bully ball with the Lions. Just completely bullied them. Like, it was just a complete disaster from start to finish. Like, the only real positive of this game was Shane Dilstra getting the hat trick. That was really about it. Like, Shane Dilstra's hat trick was the only positive of this game. And that's just about where all the positives end. Like, the defense didn't do it. Like, the defense couldn't stop anything. Even if they did make any adjustments, it wasn't good enough. Just Carolina had their way with the Lions defense. And Sam Darnold just had to do the bare minimum to not fuck it up. And he did the bare minimum to get it done. Just, you know, very frustrating. And then, like, I'll just say this. I think one of the big turning points of this game was easily that fumble on 1st and goal at the start of second quarter with that botched snap between Ragnow and Jared Goff. Like, that easily was the turning point because because Lions don't fumble that, they probably punch it in for 7, go up 14-7. And let me just say this, if the Lions don't fumble that ball and they punch it in for 7, different game when the Lions get the lead. Just because that whole fumble caused a 14-point swing, and after that, Carolina just never looked back after that. Especially when they took that ball and marched it 91 yards down the field to get the lead. Because, yeah, what would have happened if Ragnow and Goff didn't botch that snap? Like, did the weather truly play a factor in it? Maybe, I don't know. But in the end, we'll never truly know. But yeah, like, the Lions, not only do the Lions need to learn how to win and play in cold conditions like today, especially since this is, like, what, the coldest game in Carolina Panthers history with almost, like, 20 Fahrenheit. Like, it was a cold-ass game. Just, the Lions not only need to learn how to win in these kind of cold weather situations, especially if they want to be a playoff contender, because if they want to be a Super Bowl contender or contend for championships in the future, they gotta learn to win these kind of cold weather games on the road in January and shit. Because in January, it's gonna be like this or worse. Or worse weather than this. Or hell, even colder. But yeah. Especially when the Lions season is more likely gonna hang on what happens in Week 18 with the Packers. And Lambeau. And we all know how cold Lambeau gets in January. But yeah. Also, the Lions also need to learn how to win these kind of big playoff implication games because there was a lot riding on the line in this game. Especially when the Lions had everything on the deck go their way. Like, you had Seattle get loose to Kansas City. You had Washington later on get beat by San Francisco. Like, and you even had the Giants lose to Minnesota on a 61-yard field goal. Like, everything played in the Lions' favor. In the end, the Lions just flat out blew it. They blew it. They had the 7th spot in the bag. And they flat out blew it. You know, because in the end, Carolina wants to be in the playoffs more than Detroit. To be honest, at this point, I'm just going to say it here, Detroit does not deserve to be in the playoffs after today. And for anyone that want to criticize, let me just say this. If you can't show up and perform when it matters the most, then you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Simple as that. The Lions did not perform today. They just did not show up ready to play in the cold. And it really showed in this game. And yeah. There's a possibility the Lions could still make it in. Like, they really didn't lose anything. Like, this week was effectively a wash because everybody else lost. Like, there's still a half game out with 2 games to go, but the odds are very against Detroit. Because now both games against Chicago and Green Bay are now must-win games. Both those games are must-win, and now we need help to get in the playoffs. We're going to need help from the Jets and the Rams and the Browns and even the Cowboys, maybe. But I'm not sure about the Cowboys, though, because the Cowboys might rest their starters against Washington in Week 18, since Dallas is guaranteed to play whoever wins the NFC South in that division. Like, the only real implication that came out of Carolina's win was that this win eliminated Atlanta from playoff contention. But yeah, just, very disappointing game. But even though the Lions, they're more than likely not going to make the playoffs, but it was still a successful year regardless if they go 7-10, 9-8, 8-9. The fact that they were able to even be in this position after starting the season 1-6 is a miracle in itself. It shows that the Lions are definitely trending in the right direction, but they still need a lot more to get to that next level and compete. But yeah, that's why, defensive line's a big need in the draft. That's why I'm very high on thinking about the Lions need to use that pick they get from the Rams to draft Jalen Carter. With the other first-round pick, they can go a lot of directions. Maybe draft a running back like B. John Robinson, or maybe even go for a corner like Joey Porter. Lions may have to trade up for the corner. And then, round 2, maybe look at a linebacker than that. And look for a linebacker, because that defense today, the Lions defense, it looked soft as baby shit today. It was just so fucking weak. It wasn't even goddamn funny. Like, this game was extremely hard to watch. But, yeah. Yeah, we also saw how much of a difference Deshaun Elliott not being in the secondary affected the Lions. Because would the Panthers have gotten that many big run plays off the run if Deshaun Elliott was there? Probably not. Maybe Deshaun could have stuffed the run, but at this point in the year, you can't use injuries as an excuse, Next man got to step up to the plate, and they didn't. Just, very disappointing game. It really just derails the playoff hopes, but, to be honest, it seemed like the Lions weren't really focused on playoffs this year anyway. The fact that they're even in this position is a miracle, but, the way these things have been setting up, with the cap space and everything, the way they're building up, it seems like 2023 is looking like it's going to be the year the Lions take that next step forward. And let me just say, no, this is not SOL. Like, I'm not even fucking surprised that the SOL fans have come out of hiding. They've been waiting 2 months licking their chops to come out of hiding. These desperate loser motherfuckers waited this long to come out, just licking their chops, hoping to come back and have show whatever fucking relevance they had left. If you really think this was an SOL game, then you're an absolute fucking moron. You have no fucking clue, and you're not watching the game or paying attention. You know, good teams have these kind of games where they just look like shit. You know, it's very frustrating, but, Carolina, they were hungry, they wanted it more. Steve Wilkes potentially is coaching for potentially a job with Carolina next year. Carolina wanted it more today, and they got it. So, hey, congrats to the Panther fans. Good luck to you the rest of the season. Against when you face the Saints and the Buccaneers at the end of the year. Since Carolina's still fighting for the NFC South title, they can still make the playoffs by winning the division, and we'll probably face Dallas in the wild card round. But yeah, the Lions, they still got a chance, but next week though, season's on the line next week against your toilet for War Week. And don't worry, I got some plans for War Week, but I'm not going to reveal those plans until the preview for the Bears. And yeah, I got some plans for Judah Tribe. What those plans are, we'll turn and tune into the preview to find out. But hey, at least Michigan's playing next week against TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. At least we got more football next week, as hopefully Michigan can go make it to the national championship game. And hopefully next week we can go beat Chitoywa at home and try and keep our playoff hopes alive for Week 18. But yeah, anyway, gotta wrap it up here. I'm out. And also, Merry Christmas and to everybody.